Welcome back to TCX. There are three things that I took away from this World Cup. One is that it's extremely stupid to have superstitions, one of which is something that you've seen in the last two videos. I saw Tiger 3 and I wore these shades and I did a preview of the semi-finals and we won. I thought I'll use the same superstition and I did it for the finals. And clearly it does not work. So I decided it's time to finally kill these superstitions and get back to normalcy. And talking about getting back to normalcy, who better than good old Abhishek Ghosh to talk us through how this whole World Cup campaign went, and more importantly, to start with Australia. Abhishek, what do you have to say about Australia?
I mean, just wow, isn't it? I mean, what 0-2 down, and I think too much was made out of that first two defeats. I mean, everybody knew that they lost to two very strong teams, India and Australia, so India and South Africa first up. So it was very stupid to write them off. So it was expected they're going to come back, and once Australia is in the semi-finals and the knockout, we all know that they are a different beast altogether. Altogether. So what most important thing I wanted to say was uh, like this was a very un-Australian type of a victory. Okay, so yeah, we all heard about Australian spirit, but this was sort of that. Generally, what happens 2003, 2007, we saw they bulldozed the opposition. The opposition didn't have any chance, absolutely. 2015 also in the given conditions, their home conditions, they were the best team by a country mile. I mean, New Zealand might have been good, but we all knew that what's going to happen in MCG. Moment Baz got out in that first over, we knew that the game is almost over. So this was the most difficult of it all. I mean, this reminds me, this was scrapping their way to the title, so as to say, doing the hard yards, scrapping their way, using up every bit of the luck that came their way, and making it to full use. This reminds me of sort of 1987 when they won their first World Cup. That was not a great team. That was a team which was developing, and that's when Bobby Simpson and Alan Border uh, brought in a strategy to do the simple things. That is, save 20 runs on the field, run that extra yards between the wickets, that is, convert the ones into twos, twos into threes. That's what really sets you apart, and hold your nerve at the death. That's what we saw in 87. That's what we saw now. Can you imagine? Two different, I mean, the two coming to pitches, two knockout games which Australia played in the semi-final and final, they were the two most sort of uncertain pitches. Okay. So, I mean, what do you say? Non-flat and uncertain pitches. And yet they won both, and they won both by chasing. And first game, South Africa was superb, going up, batting first. And it was a deadly turner at the Eden Gardens with Maharaj turning the ball and all that. They came through it, and in the final, they had the guts to put India in on that sort of a pitch. So hats off. I mean, what can I say? I
Oh, a
mean, it was
lot.
outthought, tactically outsmarted. They tactically outsmarted India. So that's what that was the hallmark of this win.
So a lot has been said about. I'm not going to go into the game. I think enough has been spoken about the game. But in terms of the whole nerve that Australia holds, and the kind of excellent win record they have in knockouts, is there a method to how they go about it? What's your take on that?
I think it's the confidence that they have done it repeatedly before. Like for South Africa, for India, and for even New Zealand, it is such a moment that, yeah, we have to do it. I mean, we have to do it. I mean, this is our last chance now or never. All these things we think about, right? So for Australia, this is just business as usual. I would say, I think like
So
that.
it's like,
So just imagine you are an Indian fan, India playing a home test match. Do they ever get nervous? I have not seen that.
yeah.
Okay. So many times, India in a home test match chasing 200, even if they are 100 for seven, Akshar Patel, Akshar, Ashwin, all the spin, Jadeja, all the spinning all rounders score 50s at 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. That's because they simply are not scared of failure because they know that they've been there, done that. This is our territory. We know how to win. That's what it goes. So an Indian fan can relate to it. Australia in a knockout game in a World Cup in a big situation. Think about how an Indian player feels in a home test match. That air of
So
invincibility is there
basically,
from.
they are basically it is the like the term we use very freely, mushfiq, right? So it's a reverse mushfiq.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
reverse mushfiq is basically how Bangladesh. No offense to them, great team, but you know how often they get close to winning moments and they don't really
Premature
get over the line.
celebrations. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
premature
find it difficult
celebrations.
to get over the line, and here it's just the reverse. They relish in this occasion. Okay, I mean,
So, so talking about the match, I know I said that we're not going to go too much about the match, but it's the elephant in the room. We should get it out of the way. So, I think all of us felt that I'll break it into four segments: the toss, batting, bowling, and anything we could have done different. So, from a toss perspective, I felt that big game, great to put runs on the board, and that's runs on the board in a big game. 9 out of 10 experts say that's the way to go. But like you rightly called out, looks like it was a tactical masterclass from Cummins and the management at the
absolutely.
toss.
I think
What?
yeah, I think
What?
this batting first, bat first. This is a totally what you say outdated concept, and it's more of a thing which people from outside say. Okay, people who are actually playing the game, they would not think like that. Arey, first, let us score runs on the board and we will see. They will see the conditions. They will go more into the science behind it and how the pitch is going to behave, what's the opposition strength, and then decide whether they're going to bat or bowl first. I mean, if you see in way back in 1996 when Arjuna Ranatunga won the toss and inserted Australia in, everybody, all of us were shocked. But he knew something which we didn't, right? Even Imran Khan criticized him. How can you just win the toss and put Australia in? I mean, we all thought in 1996 that was suicidal. Okay, but that guy knew more. That the guy and the management, they knew more than us. Okay, they practiced for 3 days in Lahore before that and saw that there was tremendous dew on the ground and it was difficult and the ball was coming on in the evening. And that's how we decided. The only thing here is that you have to still have the nerve to do it. And that he backed his batters, he backed his bowlers. Ranatunga did, and similarly Cummins also did the same thing here. He felt that the dew is going to be there and the stroke play is going to be better in the evening. So he took a punt and and he had full confidence in his bowlers and fielders. So that
So
did the trick.
talking about nerve, you spoke about a very important thing. Do you think the template that the Indian batsmen use throughout the tournament, which is about being aggressive, starting with the captain and then all the way down, do you think we actually faltered on that very template when we were three down at 81?
Yeah, I
And
think.
KL and Kohli, do you think they could have done something better, especially KL Rahul?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think that's the discussion that has been happening. But the thing is that how our the only weakness that this ship had, that was exposed. That there was a dagger on the head. That number six, you have Mohammad Shami coming in. So all throughout the World Cup, no one tested that. That wasn't required. And then suddenly, when you needed the most, it came in. Okay, so everything was on track at 81 for one when Travis Head took that catch. Everything was on track. 81 for one on 10 overs. I thought तो गया आज wanderers कर देंगे हम 359 कर देंगे ये सब सोच
Same
रहे
here.
थे but 81 for one. So because the initial nerves were settled of a World Cup final. Rohit was brilliant. Even Virat got three boundaries just before that, I guess. So
Yeah.
both of them were batting beautifully and to spinners as well. It's not that only to the fast bowlers. So everything was on track. I think the twin dismissals of Shreyas and Rohit, that totally set us back. So we were forced into consolidation. Okay, for the next 81 for three, we had to consolidate
But
for 20 more
yeah, but
overs
look,
at least.
my point was that if you recollect in the Asia Cup against Pakistan, we lost 2 or 3 wickets right up front, and then Hardik and Ishan also they were the last
Yeah,
set of
the
batters. But
266 game, right? Yeah, yeah,
yeah, but what I remember clearly is that despite the fact that they were the last two recognized pair, they did not completely bottle down and they hit fours quite regularly. Of
absolutely.
course, not the right comparison from a match situation perspective. That was a Asia Cup League game. This is a World Cup final. And I think, as everyone's been pointing out, the surface was very, very different. So I guess it was. Is there any, just to wrap up the batting thing, anything different that I felt
No,
Sky
that
could have
that
done?
was the
I felt
plan. I think
Sky
I think I
was.
think that's I think that's exactly what Kohli, Virat, and Rahul had planned. They had plans that they will once from 80 for three, they will soon start picking up the tempo. But the bowling and fielding, what was that? I mean, that was out of the world. I mean, from where did that come from? An aging Australian side. It was all the time looking as if 40 people were fielding there. David Warner coming out of nowhere and just diving like that. And mind it, the ground is bigger. I think the ground was much bigger than the normal. I mean, it is a much bigger ground than Wankhede and Chinnaswamy. So you can't just hit sixes at will. You have to rotate the
Yeah.
strike, get boundaries, and they were not getting the boundaries. I mean, from where 40 Australians fielding there. So that might have made the difference. I think in the Pakistan match that you're referring to, that 266 wala game, I think then there was nothing in the pitch other than that new ball swing or new ball
Yeah.
pressure. After that, it was
Plus,
more or less
Pakistan's
easy.
fielding is.
Plus
And
Pakistan's fielding and also bowling after Shaheen, after without the new ball. After the new ball fades away, Pakistan bowling is nothing great. And these people, I mean, we probably could have attacked Zampa more, but obviously, back of the mind, it was there that we need to preserve wickets because they didn't trust they were they didn't seem to be having confidence in Sky. That was the biggest problem.
yeah, I was
Sky
just
is
going to
your
go to
number
that.
six batter. Your number six batter, and you don't have confidence in him. You think that he's just going to be for slogging at the end. There you are. That was one thing which totally went
What
wrong.
about bowling? During bowling, do you think it was good to start with Shami? Why did we change the pattern? Because Siraj,
Yeah.
two occasions, one in Wankhede and then one in the Asia Cup finals, right? He started the spell, and Siraj is just the kind of guy who swings just enough to get edges, if you know what I mean.
See,
Shami has a more pronounced movement, so we could see that
I don't know.
also in the
Was
number
it
of wides and wides.
I don't know. I don't know the exact stats, but I think was it because of David Warner maybe, and he got Warner out second ball, so you can't really say anything against that. We needed wickets up front. Shami is your best bowler, so probably we took it as an attacking move and we wanted to just go for the kill. So you can't fault the management on that. I mean,
What about
maybe
spinners?
spinners need runs on the board. I feel so that 240 wasn't anything. And even though Australia were 47 for three, they were scoring at a good rate. So what happens? I
Okay,
mean,
this
after
was the
that,
first.
yeah,
This is, I think, the first game or maybe the first final where in a subcontinental
yeah.
match, none of the
a-
spinners could take a wicket.
any match, I think any World Cup match India has played where spinners have bowled at least 15 overs. This is the first time
Yeah.
that they've come wicketless. Okay, I think that's the statistic. So most
So,
important thing, spinners need runs on the board. If the spinners don't get runs on the board, it's very difficult in Kuldeep, especially Kuldeep. So he gives the ball a loop, and tempts the batsman to hit a six and then get caught. And this is such a big ground. It would have been that would have been the ultimate template. Asking rate goes high, batsman attack
yeah.
Kuldeep and caught in the deep. That was what was the plan. So 240 was nothing. Okay, I mean even at 47 for three, they were 47 for three. What in still scoring at over six and over. So they were never under pressure. So maybe if the fourth wicket had fallen, they would have been under pressure. They bat deep also. Cummins is coming at number nine, so Zampa is coming at number 10. So there were no sort of scoreboard pressure. So I think 270, 280 would have definitely made it very much different. I think the wicket, even in the evening, while it was say easier to bat, it was still there was a lot of thing lot there for the bowlers. But unfortunately, we didn't have the runs. So I think 280,
I
290 would have definitely been a
also
contest.
noticed I also noticed that a couple of minor things that I think when Jadeja came back to bowl and maybe Kuldeep as well, we didn't have a slip. And one of the shots, I think
Yeah, exactly.
Labuschagne
Yeah, there you
cut
go. There you
one
go.
and it just went. Yeah, so I guess very un-Rohit Sharma like move,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
to be attacking all the time. I think
Yeah,
he had also given up. You
so
never
a
know.
lot of analysts were saying that. I mean, slip क्यों नहीं था? Because the target was low. Okay, so we could have gone for the kill that you can't defend. So there's no point defending runs. So let's go for it. And should have still
Yeah.
kept a slip. But the thing is that, of course, it doesn't have. It's easier to say it from outside, but uh, what to do about that?
What about so that's about the game. So I think moving on, overall campaign. How did you find India's campaign?
Of course,
Was
I
the
mean,
squad okay?
who
All
am I to say
rounders.
that? That was fantastic. I mean, for 10 games, we were fantastic. Okay. I think all of us will agree with that. So as I said, the only chink in the armory was one was self-inflicted, which was the number six position for Sky, role not defined properly. Okay. So if you don't consider him to be a number six, a worthy number six, then you don't play him at all. So we were comparing, right? That was Suresh Raina's position. So imagine Suresh Raina being treated like this. I can't think that would happen. Okay,
Wasn't it
so
actually the other way around? So number six was Dhoni, five was
Dhoni
Yuvraj,
and number
six
seven
was
was
Dhoni, and
Suresh.
seven was Raina. So
Seven was Raina.
I
Yeah.
mean, I always
So there
believe
you are.
that. I
Even
mean, if a team,
so that
yeah, if
position
you
was
if a
with
team
Dhoni.
needs to
So can you
exactly if a team
imagine?
needs to win, you need to have your five, six, seven in order, and these five, six, seven
Yeah.
should
Yeah.
also give you minimum 10 overs, right? That's
Yes.
the
Yes.
thumb rule.
Yes. Five, six,
In our
seven.
case, I mean, back then we had Yuvraj, Dhoni, and Raina. Yuvraj gave you 10 full overs
Ten
and
full
good
overs.
wicket
Yes.
overs, and
Yes.
Raina
Yes.
gave you anywhere from 3 to 5 overs.
So
And more importantly, Raina gave you those very crucial 30s, those
yeah. Yeah.
struggling
Yeah.
30s.
No,
And
not
India
only
compared to
30s,
that,
he was a match winner absolutely in that two quarterfinals and the semi-finals. He's the one who won the game for us. So and if you see, Jadeja is a fantastic number seven. That's settled. Not a problem about that. But number six, we had to be very clear about that. If we want to, we assume
no, but
that
then I disagree. I beg to disagree with you, sir, because Jadeja is a good number seven from a bowling perspective and fielding perspective. But where he very sorely we miss, what we missed in a number seven is the Raina like batting ability to finish. Jadeja was like, forget finishing games and adding
this.
those crucial 30s. He didn't even add 10s and 15s. So I think
Yeah,
there's
he
just
did. I
one
mean,
game against New
New
Zealand in
Zealand, I mean,
Dharamshala
that was
with
the toughest
Virat.
game. So he did well in that.
Yeah,
I mean, that was the toughest game in the league
yeah.
phase. Okay, so he came through that. So see, we had to do that. We had to trust Jadeja doing that because the thing is that if we are strengthening our bowling, so 2011, frankly, UB getting those bowling was not this strong. Okay, we were lucky that UB bowled so well, but here we were focusing on five gun bowlers. Okay, with a sixth bowling option. So that was a risk we had to take. So our focus was to win the matches with the ball. Okay, that's good. That's right. I'm okay with that. But probably number six, that was a bit of a gap in the team. Like Ishan Kishan would have been probably better. So if we didn't have a situation where, so we assumed that Sky is going to bat only when 10 overs are remaining and he has to go slang bang. That was the assumption. And so what if we lose wickets earlier, say 80 for four, then is Sky good enough for that? We have to answer that question. In fact, he did pretty well in that England game. So he batted
Yeah,
pretty
got
well
49.
at 40 for 49, I think he scored. Okay, so that's the so probably we're being harsh on Sky. So he had performed, but unfortunately, it didn't
I think you're being
become.
kind. You're being kind to him. That brings me to a pet peeve of mine, where we the fans, selectors, management, I think there's a tendency to mix formats
Yeah, yeah,
because
of course.
somebody is very good. For example, Rishabh Pant seemingly is good in T20s. He's not. There are far better people than him in T20s, but he's an absolute legend in Test cricket. Right, early days, but he's played knocks which very few people in the history of Test cricket have played. Right, So he's great in tests, but he may not necessarily be the best in T20s. He may be. I mean, I reserve my judgment on Pant in ODIs, for example. Similarly, Sky is an absolute legend in the T20 format, no doubt about it. But somehow we all discussed it. The ODI format is more leaning towards tests than
Yes,
towards
yes.
T20s. So I'm not sure if Sky was a good choice in the first place.
No,
I
it
know
was
he
a
did reasonably.
I think it was a punt. Like it was
Yeah,
assumed that we will use Sky's T20 skills so that he comes in a T20 situation at the 40th over and then plays like a
yeah,
T20
but
match
the
and scores that 110 overs, sort of a thing. That
yeah,
was the idea. I thought,
but
I
the
don't know,
difference.
I'm not saying it's a right or wrong, but that was the thought process behind the selection of Sky.
Yeah,
That he's a
yeah,
stupendously talented guy. He cannot be ignored. So let's try him. We've already got five solid batters on top. Okay. KL Rahul, Shreyas, all five solid batters on top. So let's try a punt. Uh, uh, at number six. So ideally, as a batter, I think Ishan Kishan was better. Okay, as we saw in that Asia Cup innings, if you see, remember that 266 wala match against Pakistan. Probably Ishan was batting, but they took a risk with Sky. But again, another weakness which was exposed was our long tail. So that again, I think Hardik Pandya's presence. That this was the only game in which we missed Hardik Pandya, unfortunately. So I think that was the those were you can't let Australia, you can't face Australia in a final with these sort of gaps. Okay,
yeah.
these
With
were like
five back,
small holes in
basically.
the ship. Okay,
Yeah, in
so
this case,
that's
it
what
ended
I
up
can say.
being yeah, it ended up being not a long tail. It was like a long half. Basically, our
Long
batting
half.
ended at five.
More the batting
Yeah,
ended at five.
this ended
Yes,
at five.
batting
Hey,
ended at
moving
five.
on to more cheerful things towards the end of the segment. I wanted to ask you, what are the key moments you remember? Give me two key moments, one from the games per se and one personally.
See, games per se, both are intertwined, both are interlinked. Two are, I mean, what do you say? I think the best moment was our trip to Dharamshala. I mean, that was a moment of a lifetime. Okay, so channel में देखिएगा, there are full video of our experience in Dharamshala. So please have a look at it. I'm telling everyone. So I think that was the great moment, and on the cricket field, that was the best match of the tournament as well. So it was 2 in 1. We got the experience of a great being in a great stadium, seeing that great view, and at the same time seeing an amazing match where Rachin Ravindra scored a brilliant century. Travis Head made his World Cup appearance first on that particular ground. That was the fond memory. And remember, the previous day we were watching the South Africa Pakistan game. That
Oh,
was
yeah.
so most of my see. I wanted to somehow detach myself from the India part because there was too much noise on that. So I enjoyed the non-India part of the World Cup more. The India part of the World Cup began for me from the semi-final stage, maybe because there was too much of noise, too much of non-cricket stuff going on. Also, a lot of people taking, I mean, a lot of politics, a lot of either ka ye wo and things going on like that. So I didn't want to get myself too much involved into that. But the non-India part of the World Cup was really amazing. I enjoyed that. I think that personally was my favorite.
For me, fantastic memories. Of course, Dharamshala, we were together, great memories. So I'm
Yeah,
not gonna repeat that. But for me, on the game side of things, what I really liked about this Indian campaign was that in those 10 games, I remember at least 4 or 5 games where we had 30-45 minute windows where either our bowling was questioned, the opposition was at, I don't know, 155 for two, or
yes,
180 for
yes.
two, things like that.
Two
The
for
bowlers
three
never
as well.
gave up,
Yeah,
right?
2 for 3.
Yeah,
Yes.
bowlers never gave up. They just kept pulling back. That was a major plus point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And towards the end, even games like against New Zealand, or the game even against both the New Zealand games, in fact, our fielding was a bit shaky, dropped catches and all that,
Yeah, yeah.
and you could see people were fumbling, but we recovered very quickly. So for me, that was a big plus point, that we had the mental strength and resilience to fight back during a game as well.
Correct.
I just wish they had the only I just wish they had done it even when the KL Kohli
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
partnership was going on.
So the
That was
yeah
the
that
only part.
Yeah,
We
there was a
froze
play.
there.
Yeah, there was a played on dismissal was always on the cards when you freeze like that.
Yeah.
So against the run of play, that totally derailed the the batting.
And that happened in the, I think, the 29th or 30th over. So that was on the game front, the fact that India fought back consistently. On the personal front, just one word, Wankhede. I mean,
Yes.
if you are a cricket fan and if you've not watched an India game in Wankhede, trust me, you are missing something. I'm going to actually,
So
that reminds me, I'm going to make a separate short video on Wankhede about, the 5 reasons why everyone should watch. So I don't want to
yeah,
steal my own
that's
thunder
there,
here.
and also reminding of our viewers that there is a video of Wankhede Stadium as well. Our friend Salim had been there
Yeah.
with his brothers, and they remember that there's an armchair critic, being an armchair critic from his hotel, and straight away to the stadium. So please watch that video as
Yes.
well.
Yeah, that's a no. So 1KD for me, two things stood out for me in 1KD. One is our bowlers were literally a demolition squad. We blew away Sri Lanka in that game. The sight of a fast bowler running in,
Yeah,
half a second
absolutely,
later the stumps are
absolutely.
lighting up. Right? You cannot describe that. It was literally
Yeah,
like
cannot even see the ball.
bowler coming in, stumps are lighting up. Couldn't even see the
Yeah.
ball. So that was beautiful. Secondly, the crowd. I think this is the only stadium in India which has coordinated chanting, like Premier League games. People are chanting, and it's not just the usual Kohli, Kohli, or RCB, RCB. They actually encourage every player besides the star players. They also encourage the bowlers and all of that.
Correct.
So big plus for me was 1KD.
So,
So good
so
to catch up,
yep.
Abhishek. We are missing our other two partners in crime, Rohan and Madhu.
Yeah, yeah.
Hopefully we will get them on the next time we have the content on. So,
Yes,
guys,
yes.
again, like I told you in my Shivajinagar Urdu, please subscribe to our video, our channel. Keep liking and subscribing to us, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care.
वीडियो
Bye
को
bye.
करो
Shubha
लाइक
Khair.
और चैनल को करो सब्सक्राइब दैट्स द वे वी वुड से प्लीज thank you
Absolutely.
great to be in this session yeah
Thanks, guys. Bye bye. Take care.